I did this podcast. We were in an apartment at the time, and I did it in a closet because it had the most sealed sound because we lived right next to the dog park at the apartment complex. So they didn't want dogs barking. Anyways, we're here.
So giddy right now. I feel like I'm meeting celebrities for the first time.
Emma!
What? We are all Discord friends, but I also feel like I'm meeting celebrities.
If you want to see what a celebrities podcast recording room looks like, it's my basement. And that is where some of the Ren Fair clothes live. And now that's just watching.
You looked amazing in your Ren Fair outfit. I do also have to say, I love the hammer on the wall.
That is, I think, my grandfather's hammer. Tough to know.
Okay, well, welcome to the podcast, everybody. This is A Little Too Quiet. It's the Ferndale Library podcast. It's brought to you by the Friends of the Ferndale Library. I am Jeff. I'm joined by Emma.
Hi.
And we've got two authors on the pod. Emma, you should introduce our guests.
This is the part where I also fail to look up everybody's wonderful accreditations. I'm assuming everybody's, again, best-selling in my heart.
Yeah.
And probably best-selling in several other places.
Yes.
Jamie Pacton and Becca, is it Podos?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah. But is it? Okay, yeah. But on the book covers, it's Rebecca. I don't know if we're being formal.
That's my given name.
Okay. This is Homegrown Magic, and there's also Homeward for a Spell. And am I missing anything else that you two have collaborated on yet?
Yeah, we wrote a young adult novel called Furious together. That was our origin story book.
Yeah.
Tell us everything about the two of you meeting and where your styles and proclivities overlapped. Because there's romantasy, there's cottagecore, there's references of the Ren Fair 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, I hope that the part where I talk about the mannequin in my basement isn't going on the podcast.
Aren't you sure? Maybe it should go in because
cut for time.
We're not your regular libraries podcast. And also, I think there's some Dungeons and Dragons involved. So please tell us everything.
Oh, what a long story! All right, so. I'll start with just the fact that years ago, when I was on Yield Twitter still, which I am not anymore, I put out a tweet because I'm an agent in my, daytime life. And I put out a tweet basically saying that if anybody has a sapphic Fast and the Furious style heist novel, but the romance is between Letty and Mia, then send it to me so I could represent it. And then Jamie, transition.
Okay. Then Jamie, who had been watching the Fast and the Furious movies again, like all of them, through a particularly terrible time in our personal lives, we were watching these as comfort movies. I saw this tweet and slid into Becca's DMs. We didn't know each other. We kind of knew of each other, I would say.
We were in queer YA spaces. And apparently, many of my author friends had queried me at one point, and I did not remember.
Actually, I remember the rejection letter I got from you, which was for Kit Sweetly. And it was like, I love this. However, I just had twins and I will not be, I can't represent this right now. So it was not like a, what are you talking about?
That's not even a rejection. That's
a life.
Yeah.
So we sort of knew each other, but I slid into Becca's DMs and was like, hey, if you don't get this book, I would love to write this with you. It was just a moment of boldness, and why not? It was Twitter, right?
It was the wild days of
the wild days. And so then we started messaging back and forth. And then we were like, wait, this is always our story. Are we writing a book? Are we doing this? And so we found character. I don't remember exactly how long it took us, but Furious is about a car girl who's recently lost her mother and wants to be an F1 racer, and then a bike girl in a rural mountain town in the South who fall for each other through a series of very bad choices one summer.
Oh,
That's so succinct.
we should mention they also bond over Mario Kart, which is great.
They definitely do.
They bond over Mario Kart. They bond over Letty Ortiz, and the glory of Michelle Rodriguez, which we also bonded over. Yeah, and I think that, so Jamie wrote the car girl and I wrote the bike girl. Did I know anything about BMX, motocross, motorcycles? No, but my partner does. And so I got to say things like, how would this motorcycle possibly beat this car model in a race? And that was our primary source. And anyway, we made it happen, and it sold.
And it's a really beautiful book. Like, it has not, it's a book. If I could say any book in my backlist that like I wish people read more of, it would be this one, because we put, it's really funny. And we put a lot of like heart into it. And there's a lot of like, there's a thread of grief, but there's also Fast and Furious jokes and car knowledge. And, I don't know. It's also like, I grew up in the rural mountain South, and it to me is like, we made it a queer norm world. And so that, is aspirational, I guess. And so I love that part of the book too. Do you remember though that book hit like a bestseller category in equestrian fiction because they
oh yeah, so the I don't know if everybody's familiar with the orange Amazon banners, which are ludicrous, but we get to celebrate things by being like #1 in Mario Kart themed like YA or whatever. So yes, I think ours did hit #1 in teen equestrian fiction, because there is one horse for one chapter.
And I thought it was going to go more like the horsepower route, like for the cars.
Nice.
Like, that's where my mind went. But
we did not get a banner in teen horsepower novels, unfortunately.
Nope, just horses.
Well, that's a new goal you guys can set.
Horse. We're gonna crack that top 10 in teen horsepower fiction.
You guys might have mentioned this, but was this the first time that either of you had collaborated with someone else in writing a book together?
It was for me.
Okay.
It wasn't. So it was my first official time. I had written with 2 other friends. I started to write a romance with one friend, and then her life kind of got hard, and so we stopped. And then I have about 200 pages of an adult, like, women's fiction novel with one of my other friends. And we just couldn't, like, we just have never done much more with it. Like, so I had done collaborative things, but I'll be honest, like, this was such an immediate good fit. Like, we worked very well together. And it was different than some of the other collaborative processes I had done. So both of those other experiences were lovely, but this one was just like, I don't know. It was like I love drinking a cool beverage on a hot day, easeful,
Yes, on horseback. I was. I had co-edited before, because I co-edited an anthology with Ashley Herring Blake years ago, and loved that process. I was very nervous about the actual process of co-writing, because we're very different, I think, like in our processes. Like, I'm very precious about my words, and like strictly, I don't write 0 drafts. I don't even write like first drafts. I write like 1.5 drafts, which is probably obnoxious to work with. But yeah, I think that our styles matched up really well. And as well, Jamie is so good at picking plot beats and external happenings. Like, so many of the like actual plot moments that happen in the book, I think, were probably inspired or driven by your character, kind of like in Homegrown Magic. And then I have a tendency to focus on like character and internal arc, and how can we like bring this theme more deeply into this chapter. And so I think like our styles ended up melding really well together, and also we're really good friends, and it's really fun to tell a story with your friend.
And it is. And like, it's, to build on that, I think that some of the other projects I had, we had too similar of styles. And so it didn't, quite work, because we were both trying to do the same thing. So Becca and I, the way we write is we each pick a character. We do lots and lots of phone calls about, just who these characters are and what they want and where the story's going. And it changes a lot, especially in our adult books, as we have to figure out, like, as we have to break our characters up in Act 3. So those are, and lots of intense phone calls, or as we try and raise spiciness. But as Becca said, like our strengths really support each other very well. So I've become a better writer by working with Becca, because there's just details. I allow myself time to sink into details more, or to like think about themes in a different way. Like those are in my other books. They just aren't in until like draft 5. And now they are coming in earlier. Because of this collaboration.
I find myself looking at a chapter and being like, nothing happens in this chapter. Maybe something should happen.
My goodness, the furniture is beautifully described.
But the furniture will always be beautifully described in my first drafts. Yes.
I remember you were like, I'm not very funny. And then you wrote like the funniest jokes I've ever read in like Furious and things. So like, again, we draw that out of each other, you know?
I think so. Yes.
So you guys live on opposite sides of the country, West Coast, East Coast. When writing, is there ever a moment where, like Becca, you would like get an idea and you try to call Jamie, but it's the middle of the night? Like how does the time difference play into your idea process, and how do you like schedule around that?
Yes, so technically it shouldn't happen like this, because Jamie is 3 hours behind me, and so I should be. But I write really late at night sometimes as well. I'm like a late night writer, and so there are definitely times when you would wake up to like 8 separate 3 to 4 minute voice messages being like, okay, what if we do this? Oh, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to do this. Ooh, and then what if this happens? Okay, forget all of that. And then I don't know what your experience has been finding that like bouquet of voice messages the next morning, but that definitely happens.
Yeah, nothing but delight. That's my experience. I was in Wisconsin for the majority of our partnership. I only moved to the West Coast 2 years ago. So that only tacks on, I think, an hour, maybe 2 hours, depending. But where the time difference really gets me, it's not so much in our writing, because we're doing that in Discord and we talk, or, you know, on text, like we're talking all the time. It's really with publishing emails, because New York starts like yesterday we had 15, 20 emails back and forth with our publisher. And by the time I got into my day, 8:39, they had already been going for like a while. So I feel like I'm always on the back foot, or Becca's like, you're answering more of these because I'm still asleep. But with the collaboration itself, I just think there's such a steady stream of communication that we're fine. I mean, I do a lot of like voice messaging in parking lots as we think of things. So
we also have a very, I don't know, it's sort of poorly organized. It's in theory, it's very well organized, but it's poorly stuck to. We have a whole Discord server that's just us, and it has like 15 different channels. So like we have channels for like finished art and for promotional ideas and to-do lists. And then one that we developed to come up with, to make a list of euphemisms for sexual activities that we would use and that we wouldn't use. Because we got really tired, I think, of writing like her center over and over again. So that channel exists, but we make it work through our various Discord channels and voice messages and such.
I have to say, just from the reader's perspective, we probably appreciate that Discord channel, because I have had at one of my romance book clubs where we're like, what words do we hate and what words do we wish were used more? So I like that you guys like already have that like thought process going, like, what do we need to avoid?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, it's funny because we're in a bunch of, I guess, other servers together, but we're in one writers server with like a small group of authors, and one is a really, prominent, like best-selling like queer romance author. And when we were like, guys, what euphemism should we be using? They're like, just say like beep. And we then moved that debate to our channel before deciding against it. But it was a helpful conversation to have with 10 of your closest writer friends.
Which is a good transition to how did you get from writing young adult, kissing scenes to these books that we strive for chili peppers in, and then our spicier
so hard for our chili peppers.
Yes. So in those books, like that is it's not a different process, but there are fun things like these euphemism channels where as we try and figure out the blocking of spicy scenes, like some of these are conversations I've never had with like my other friends, but in the context of the work we do together, we have to be like, is this like, yes, no?
Is this physically possible?
Yes.
And we have to like consent for our characters because one of us will be writing the scene from their perspective and then, we'll go into it or whatever. But we definitely talk and communicate a lot about like, what would your character do here? And is it okay? And what terminology would they prefer and so on and so forth.
We also send each other a lot of thirsty TikToks.
That's beautiful.
Oh,
that's beautiful.
Oh my. Emma, was Homegrown Magic like your first encounter of these two?
Not like together, yes.
How'd you get on the radars, I guess?
Homegrown Magic I picked for a book club when I was hosting monthly at Love and Other Books across the street.
We're across the street from a romance bookstore, which is great. As a library,
that's
we love
amazing.
Yeah.
And also, I didn't know that. Thank you for picking us.
Yeah. I can't remember when I did it, but I remember picking it because, so it's called Queerly Ever After, so we focus on queer romance fantasy stories. I still host occasionally. It just kind of depends on their schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really excited about it because I wanted something cozy, and I was looking for sapphic because I feel like I read predominantly, if I'm reading queer books, I read a lot of sapphic books. So I was really excited about it. And that's kind of like my first introduction to both of your guys' writing. I do remember, I think I won a giveaway for, I think it's Lucky Girl by Jamie, a few years ago.
Wow.
So like that was my first introduction to Jamie. And then I think I can't remember when I started following both of you. It kind of, the internet's a blur. But yeah, no, when I was hosting that Love and Other Books book club and that was the pick, that was my first introduction to your guys' writing. And it made me so excited that's why I'm on the street team for Homeward for a Spell, because I was like, I'm really excited for this next book.
And we love you. We love having you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Tell us how you guys got from Furious to Homegrown Magic, or where that inspiration came from.
Yeah. So while I don't remember, I think either Furious had come out or was about to come out. I think it hadn't even come out yet, maybe. We were also at that time in sort of like a COVID era author D&D group.
Yeah.
That was being DM'd by our really good friend, Rosie Thor, who is also a phenomenal author of cozy queer stories. But we, in the fashion, the way that you do in D&D, we were like, oh, let's build our characters together. Let's develop a whole like multi-page backstory for them and how they grew up together. And wouldn't it be fun if we had a little romance? And we just had so many thoughts about this, and then none of it, almost none of it was relevant. We used very little of those character notes, and my character ended up like marrying the first person I met in game that was not Jamie, unfortunately. These things happen. The heart wants what it wants. But then we had just like so much planning that we had already done. And we were like, you know what? This could be kind of a cool story. I don't know what kind of story.
A fun story, not monetized.
Yeah, fun. Yes, because also at that time we were having a big conversation in the author chat about what Rosie calls flowers projects, which are the fast origin story of that is that they were going to their garden center and talking to the person there. And they were talking about how you need to plant flowers alongside your vegetables and your fruit and stuff, because not everything that you grow is meant to consume. It's also to like nurture the soil, the drop pollinators. So anyway, then in our author chat, like a flowers book became shorthand for something that you write to kind of like nurture yourself and to feed yourself and your creativity, as opposed to, okay, we got to get this done and get this out there and sell it. Because we didn't know if it had any chance of selling, but we knew we were having a lot of fun working together, and we absolutely loved our characters, and we loved developing magic systems and doing all of this world building together. And then we did monetize it. That's why it's a book now. But it started out as just a really great, like, collaborative sandbox that we were playing in together, I think.
I'm kind of obsessed with that flowers.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm kind of obsessed with that flowers.
Yeah.
Like, metaphor is the word I was trying to think of so hard. And I think that's so beautiful. And I'm so sorry I cut you off, Jamie. It was coming out. I couldn't stop.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I would just add to that, like, when we started the D&D game, we were so fresh off of storytelling together with Furious. Like, it felt very natural that we'd be like, oh, does my character know your character? Yeah, sure. Okay. Elaborate backstory, 30 pages of material. And then we got into the game, and like, my character in the game was named Margot. But so the challenge of my life over this 2-year game was to sort of separate what Margot in game was doing from Margot in, like, what was quickly becoming Homegrown Magic, because they were very, very different. And yeah, I think we wrote 100 pages, and Becca is a champion synopsis writer, which is the thing that most people like hate. I generally hate a synopsis. I mean, I don't mind it, but it is labor. And Becca like whips out these beautiful synopsises.
I bring this kind of skills to our partnership, like
you do.
Skills and synopsis skills.
Right. And you're amazing at those, and art in general. So yeah,
and Jamie's willing to be seen on camera when talking about stuff, which is really fun. I don't have to do that.
Yeah. And then our agents took it out, and we got a preempt really, really quickly for those 100 pages, which was also surprising. And then we had to write the rest of the book. Yeah. And then same.
That's the story of Homegrown Magic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us where the characters came from, developing the characters and the adventures they go on. This is about family drama. This is about reconnecting with past crushes. This is about, I don't know, breaking away from family businesses.
Finding yourself.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. There's like a lot of great energy here. There's I don't know. Is there a trope for like when you reconnect with the past crush? Is there a thing for that?
Childhood sweethearts to lovers, I guess.
Okay,
or like childhood sweethearts to lovers, yes.
Okay,
where did they come from? Well, I wanted to, so my character in the campaign was a warlock who was, their patron was their own family member who was essentially the demon of capitalism. And that's just the same. Mm-hmm. It's all, they go by different names, but that's in the book. Yeah. And Jamie's character...
Yeah, just a vibey cottagecore plant witch named Margot, a name I liked. She was a druid. I don't know. I was at flower project. I was in a gardening moment. I just like garden stores. Yeah. So I don't exactly remember where and why. It was actually, this is I guess interesting. This was my first time playing D&D though. My teenager has done D&D for years, like virtually. And like I wanted to play D&D growing up, but I grew up in a very, very conservative Catholic religious family in the South, where D&D was considered like satanic. So we could watch videos on those such things. So I always wanted to do it. I just never got a chance. So this game together was my first chance to just hang out and play D&D. So yeah, I don't know. I had a grand time coming up with characters and trying to understand it all. And
yeah. And I've been playing since I was like on and off since I was 19. So I will say that obviously we have our own magic system in the book, but since it's D&D vibes, Jamie did have to put up with a couple of actually. Well, I don't really think a druid would do magic though. But you were so gracious about it.
We love a recovering Catholic moment. I love that you were able to eventually get to play D&D as someone who also did the whole Catholic school thing, K through 12.
Yes. So this, and I don't want to put labels on things, but like cottagecore is thrown around in some of the descriptions. A level of whimsy, a level of cozy is applied to this. Can you talk about what you found most enjoyable about living in this world and leaning into that sub niche genre?
I can start us. Yeah. I had a grand time designing Margot's magical greenhouse and everything that would go in there. We have a village in the middle of like the book where Margot lives. And so our cottagecore, and one thing I love about these books is they are whimsy, they are magic. But the thread and the thesis that we have running through the entire book is that community is what will heal us, that like we are stronger when we work together, not when we're like pitted against each other in capitalistic rivalries. So I would hesitate to call our community-based, little village just whimsical, because I think it can exist. But I enjoyed that space. Like we had fun being like, who's this side character? Who's the chicken witch? Or who runs the tavern? Like there's a lot of other fun details and things along the way. But that's one of my favorite aspects is just Bloomfield and everything that it became.
Yeah. I feel like every genre, it's a vibe, it's certain like world building structures, certain elements, but it's also, I think, kind of a contract that you make with your audience. So like as to you make certain promises with your genre and tell your audience what they can expect. And you do that with mystery and romance and so on. And with like the cozy genre, I think the general promise is like everything's going to be okay in the end. Like maybe not everything is going to be resolved beautifully, and there is going to be angst and there's going to be, some heartache, but it's going to be okay. And I think that writing that in combination with a queer norm world that we built, everything's the promises that we make by writing that is like everything's going to be okay, and also there will be angst and there will be queer characters having angst, but there will not be angst based upon queer identity. And this was also the first time that I got to write a non-binary POV character. I've had side characters, but I absolutely loved writing Yale, and I loved having my first non-binary character set in this world where we make these promises to ourselves and our readers. And so that was my favorite part, I think.
This makes me need to go reread this.
Okay,
I will be grabbing it off my shelf. Well, the community is care, I think, like so important right now in the world in which we live. And now I feel like I just need a little bit of that. And I also have the arc of Homeward for a Spell on I think I put it on my Kobo. Did I get it?
Yes.
No, it was because Del Rey won't let me put it on my Kobo. I remember this beef. So I have to read it somewhere else. So I have to figure that out. But I also have to say, like, I remember reading this, Yell's family kind of made me think of, like, the family from Corpse Bride. In, like, a really funny way where they're, like, they're so high and mighty and you have to do this, be a part of the family business, do all this stuff. And it just gives me, like both, like, the parents, like, a combination of that. And I just, like... And I don't know why, but Clowneck also just gives that vibe for me, and I can't stop thinking about it now that it's come to mind.
Well, now I have to go rewatch The Corpse Bride because, I mean, that basically my character's family in the story is the mechanism of capitalism within this kingdom. And along with that, go the pressures of like, this is who you are expected to be. These are the tasks that you are expected to perform and the value that you are expected to provide. And I think a lot of what our characters do throughout the story, like juxtaposed with this community care and, a community supports each other's strengths and weaknesses and like provides for one another, that set against the kind of rigid, like what value are you providing? What function are you performing? Was a through line throughout the book that we wanted to be really intentional about putting in there. So it wasn't just vibes and fun, even though we love vibes and fun as well.
And I think that we picked that up in Homeward for a Spell, and then pushed it even further because Homeward follows Margot's
even
best
more
friend.
anti-empire, if I dare say.
Absolutely. it follows Margot's best friend, Sage, who's a ranger and kind of who has always made her own way. And then Yale's cousin, Arafi, who quite literally just leaves the family to go on an adventure and discover her new path and purpose along the way too. So yeah, we are very much writing against you need to just work in that one family space and in the track that is meant for you. Although we have had conversations about how many runaway heirs can we actually like work into this world.
Yeah, so our editor at one point was like about a side character. Our editor was like, they can't all run away.
I was ready to have another runaway heir as like a surprise at the end, and our editor was like, absolutely not.
Reasonably so. Reasonably so.
I don't know.
It was a great choice.
I feel like if they're all close cousins, they'll just be like, "Oh, they ran away. I can do that." I feel like you could keep going.
Yeah, I know. Like,
I feel like there's room.
Infectious. The free will is infectious, I think.
this is such an unproductive tangent. But when I heard runaway heir, despite all the other elements that are going on in the book, I thought of It Happened One Night, this movie from the 30s, where that's the basis of that movie, and it's one of the most famous rom-coms of all time. So like, it's a great thread to lean into for your romances. Let's talk a little bit more about Homeward for a Spell, and it's coming out in August, right?
It is August 18th, right?
Amazing.
Yeah, that's right.
or thereabouts.
Yeah, August 18th.
The Goodreads also says August 18th.
Give us some non-spoilery things that we can expect or look forward to with this book, and even also just like what it was like compared to Homegrown Magic, the writing experience.
Well, I think Homegrown Magic is our like cottage queer, set in an enchanted garden. There's fashion shows. There's the small village. And we wanted to take the next book literally on the road, but have that be, instead of like this cottagecore fantasy, an adventuring fantasy. And it's still cozy, but essentially my character Sage is tasked with assembling and leading her first adventuring party and setting out on the road to the perilous north to retrieve this object for a client. And that's when Jamie's character comes in and sort of fumbles her way into the party.
Which she thinks is an actual party and not an adventure party. Because
yes,
the kind of
I would say the D&D vibes are even stronger in this one. The danger has escalated. We get to see a lot more of the kingdom. We get to see our kind of like healer character, our fighter, our fixer. We wanted it to have big like party vibes and feel again like kind of playing like queer D&D around a table with your friends, and you're going questing together, and incorporate those like found family elements, and also show different pockets of community around this kingdom, because community doesn't all look like one thing, and it certainly doesn't all look like, Bloomfield or what you think of from like a cottagecore fantasy book. It's, sometimes it's like hard scrabble, doing what you have to do together to survive. And, so we got to show what magic looks like in different parts of the kingdom, and what maybe the true source of peril is in this what do we call our kingdom?
Arrow. It's the kingdom of Arrow.
Listen, we're between books right now.
Yeah. So one thing that I think is apparent from the title is like these books are about the concept of home, right? And so the dedication of this book is for all the wild ones who found a home in each other. And that's like in Homegrown Magic, it was very much home was a place and a person, right? But this one is much more like home is the people you find who make you feel that way. And so there are pockets, and I'm obsessed. Like I come back to the idea of home in my books again and again and again. And I've just wrote a newsletter about that. So this is on my mind. But like in Homeward for a Spell, there's pockets of home, like quite literally pocket dimensions, but also little like, there's an interlude in a cabin. So there's a lot of danger. There's a lot of like party shenanigans. But then there's these quieter, cozy moments, I think, that stand out. But that's in the midst of this larger thing, which was so fun to write. Because as Becca said, that was like a D&D campaign. It's like you're not in combat all the time. Sometimes you're role playing or, like you're dating or something in a game. So I found that to be one of the best parts of this book is just like we had already made the world. We had already figured out some of the mechanics. And so we had more to stand on. We had a map, for heaven's sakes. We had characters. And this one just let us sink in a little deeper and then like apply some of the things we started with.
Yeah. And we got to 4 chili peppers in this.
Hey,
Whoa.
I have to say, though, there's a bunch of side characters in the adventure party that we could have written. Like this book could have been 600 pages of like wandering through the frozen Northlands. And we weren't able to, we had to keep it a little tighter than that. But I just had a thought. I was like, we should write a short story about Bramble, our cleric, and like, we should explore some of these others. Yeah.
I was going to say there's room for book 3, book 4.
Oh, we have a book 3 and 4 plotted in place.
We're hoping. Fingers crossed. Everybody, please go shamelessly pitching. Please go buy book 2 so we can get hired to write books 3 and 4 because we've got a whole plan for them.
What do you enjoy most about just writing in the romance genre? Because I feel like we've talked a lot about fantasy elements, D&D RPG elements, Fast and Furious elements. It's not like conventional or at least stereotypical romancy vibes. What do you like about melding all the things that you really do love into that genre as writers? Why this?
I mean, I again, like, the promise that romance as a genre, like capital R romance, makes to its readers is that there's going to be, for now or forever, there's going to be a happily ever after. And the characters are going to, find their way to each other. And I think I think it's fascinating because you go into a romance book knowing that, but there's so many ways to arrive there and so many ways to earn that and to make it work. Like one of my favorite romance tropes that is a bit more of a factor in book 1 than in book 2, but is second chance romance. And look, it's some people don't like it, and I'll tell you why I like it. I'll tell you, because I like the idea that a person can grow and change and work on themselves and find in the world what they need to become in order to be in a healthy relationship, in order to for it to be the right time to find a happy relationship with another person. And just because it didn't happen the first time, you can change, you can grow, and you can evolve. And maybe you just needed a little more time to become who you needed to be in that relationship. And does it always work in real life? No, but in a story, it can be really, really beautifully written. And so I like it sounds like cold to say like the calculus, but I like writing characters with that end goal in mind of how do we create two people who are ready to find in each other what they need and to give to each other what they need. So that's what I like about it.
Yeah, I like reading romance, not exclusively. I do love a good weird fantasy or sci-fi or mystery. But I've loved romance as a genre since I was like old enough to sneak into my tiny town's public library and read, paperbacks that like 90s or 80s romance type things. So I do also like the promise of a happily ever after. I like that for queer characters. I like pushing the genre where it's, as you said earlier, not their queerness isn't the problem, their bad decisions or, their family obligations or whatever it is. So that is a space that I enjoy and that I wish I had seen more of growing up. So it's an honor to work in that space. Romance is fun too, because romance does have like a very conventional beats. Like I use a 4-act structure when I write my books. But then romance, especially adult romance, has very conventional beats, and it's fun to play around with those. Like I feel like we haven't quite gotten away with like the 3rd act breakup, but we've been pushing some of these things that so there's room to like work within a structure, but also get creative. I think that's a nice challenge intellectually and like creatively.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And you're right. It's nice to just get to write queer happy endings.
Hey, right.
Beautiful. I feel like I have to explain my face that I made for
You
second chance
definitely
romance.
made a face second chance romance. And look, I have tropes I'll make faces like that about too.
Well, and the way you explained it, it makes it sound so lovely and beautiful. I feel like I've just been burned by second chance romance. And here's the thing, and my prime example for this every time, and I love Ashley Herring Blake and her work, but her one Christmas romance where it was a second chance romance, but it's a second chance because the one female main character left the other one at the altar. And then they still somehow made it back. And I'm like, no, you can't do
I mean, that is sort of the stumbling block of second chance romance. Is sometimes like, and everybody has deal breakers in characters in life and relationships. And yeah, in order to buy into a second chance romance, you have to buy into the fact that both characters deserve a second chance. I admit that. But I'll say, like, enemies to lovers is an incredibly popular romantic trope. And I have a really hard time buying into the fact that if you hated each other enough to be enemies, then you would still be horny for each other.
And like
I have a hard time buying into that. So I completely understand having difficulty buying into that premise. I get it 100%.
The way you spoke about it, like, makes me like excited because there's the intention and the like, I'm not bashing Ashley Herring Blake. I swear I'm not. It was just that one instance. But like, if there's if there's a way of like showing that they're like earning each other for real, I like that's where it is. I also agree with the enemies to lovers. I feel like it's always like you pissed me off one day like 3 years ago and now I hate you, but then like they're still horny for each other and they're like, oh, they're enemies. No.
Yes, no. Now that's lovers and annoyances to lovers. Yes. And I will say, Jamie, I'm yielding the floor to you. But as with many tropes, it works better for me when they're queer because I completely believe that two people perched on the verge of like queer panic are just like, what is this feeling? It must be loathing. Oh, it's not loathing, as it turns out.
So I love that. Absolutely. And I really struggle with a villain romance. I really struggle with enemies to lovers and cast that. Except, and here's something I didn't think I would say this. I love the Crimson Moth series.
Ooh, yes.
And the reason that works because they're both terrible people. Like the witch has killed people, and then the witch hunter, who we shouldn't be rooting for because he's just like, he's bad, has killed people, but also been hurt. And somehow their damages together, and then what they try and work to build, like I buy it. And like, I think that's one reason that series is so smart because normally like what I really hate is like when we've got one sort of like weak and powerless character from, the downtrodden part of society.
Yes,
and then
the power disparity
which then maps to like patriarchy and things like that. It's so uncomfortable. And I can't like, it is not for me. But I, again, push us, recast it. Can you write an enemies to lovers? Like my next YA, the proposal that I'm working on secretly is going to be like purportedly enemies to lovers because their families hate each other, but they've never had a chance to get to know, so like I want to play around with it, but I can see why people have strong opinions.
And enemies to lovers with the power dynamic, I always shout out is Red Queen because Victoria has them like in the two different places, but she doesn't let her main female character like fall in love super fast. She's very wary, and then she switches it all up on us. And I love her for it.
I think you could make any trope. Well, no, not any trope. Some tropes are just. I think you can make most tropes work. You just gotta work it.
And I don't know, Emma. I mean, you read a lot of romance. What do you enjoy about living in worlds similar to Homegrown Magic and the vibe there?
I like
as a reader.
I do like the guarantee of a happy for now or happily ever after because I don't like being sad. I have a really hard time. Like if we're gonna get deep for a second, I can't read books that are like super super sad ever since I lost my dad. Because I can't be in that, I can't be there anymore. I can't be that sad. I can have books that are like a little sad, but whenever somebody says this book will break your heart and smash it into pieces, I'm like, no, I need a giggle.
Sure.
I need to laugh.
Sure.
I can be sad when they're broken up, and I can be mad at them when they're not speaking. But the thing about romance is like everybody will be okay. I know they don't kill the dog in the end. I know that everything will work out. And like it's the fairy tale lover in me where love conquers all, you know, like and I think that's really what I love about it. And why I really also like romance fantasy, because I do love fantasy, but fantasy will kill people with no remorse. I read the Faithful and the Fallen series by John Gwynne, which I lovingly call white man fantasy because it's written by a white man and it's huge and it gives like that stereotypical long thing. Oh my God, he killed everyone.
Oh no.
He killed everyone I liked. And I lived through it, but that's also why I like stuff like Homegrown Magic, where I still get the fun fantasy elements, but I still know everything's going to be okay.
Yeah. I feel like I'm a little bit aging. I'm too old. I'm too old now to be reading or starting or watching shows or reading books where any character can and probably will die at any moment. Like The Walking Dead lost me at a particular favorite character's death. I want to love your characters. I want to get attached to your characters. And it's really hard to then be like, well, that one's gone.
Yeah.
I think it, and I'm sorry about your dad. And I also have experienced a great deal of grief that ends up in my books. And one note I always get back from my editors is like, make this harder for your characters, make them suffer, because I'm inclined, especially in my young adult novels, I'm inclined to just like, oh yeah, they solved it. And then they went and got some tea and then, they went on to their next adventure. And she's like, no, they need conflict. I'm like, oh, do I have to? Life is hard enough. And she's like, yes, this is your job. But I think that there's a real reason for the rise of whimsy and cozy fantasy as the world gets harder or seems to fall apart. Like we want fiction as a safe space. I saw Alex E. Haro talking about the rise of medieval fantasy / literature, medievalism, when fascism has a rise, and like that. And she was talking about her based on her research in academia, that there's a correlation between those two. And so we want this fantasy of a medieval time when the government made sense, even though it didn't, but that's what we want. And I think something similar is happening with cozy stories, cozy fantasy. Like we, as a culture, we want an escape and a place that feels safe and less messy or less terrible. And that's one reason I like the cozy genre. I like this type of fantasy. I will read some high fantasy like you're talking about, but I will never reread Game of Thrones, for example, just because it hurts me too much personally.
Yeah.
So August 18th, that's the date. We got that?
That's the date.
All right. I wish we had talked longer, but we're here in a library and I literally have to start a meeting in this dumb old boring room in 10 minutes.
Oh, I forgot.
So wait,
that was the thing.
What did we leave uncovered? What did we leave unsaid?
Jamie's coming to Michigan.
Oh, that's exciting.
In less than a month.
What?
And I think I threw out 800 things that she should do while she's here.
What are the details? Let's promote them.
Jamie's coming to Sidetrack June 13th.
Great.
Which is a Saturday. I'm going.
Great.
I'm so excited about it.
Yeah, it's going to be me and Rebecca Mix, another YA author.
Oh, I love Rebecca.
Yeah, so we're online pals.
Are you going to Michigan right after you leave Connecticut?
Yes, that's my flight that I have to get. The flight leaves at 5 a.m., so I have to be at the airport at 3.
Are you going from one Becca to the other?
I am going from one Becca to another. I get 2 days with Becca. So I think we're going to meet in Boston and then we're going to go to Connecticut.
I'm going to go to your Boston event and then I'm the conversation partner for Jamie's event in Connecticut at my local and then off to Michigan
Yay.
Oh my God.
And then off to Madison from there. But
this is so exciting. Boston was where I went to grad school through the internet. But once I went there, I went to the school afterwards. To see it at least. And then, oh my God, that's so exciting. I love Becca Mix and all of her books. And oh my God, this is when you see your favorites interacting.
Yes. I will say Becca and I have only met in person twice. Is that right? When you came out to Oregon for the wedding and then last.
Yeah. once per year for like the last 2 years or something. We've met in person. That's it.
But we're going to have a grand old time like this time coming up. So
Oh, I can't
We're
wait
going to
for
the
it.
botanical gardens.
oh yeah.
And
Maybe even the ships.
this is already looking 1.5 years ahead. The Homegrown Magic series shall continue.
With our fingers crossed.
Okay, all right.
So catch me outside loving other books,
Catch me
hawking Homeward for a Spell and telling everybody we need to read it because Emma needs more.
Jamie, Rebecca, thank you so much for joining us and hanging out on the podcast.
Thank you guys
Thank you
so
for
much.
having us.
Thank you so much for having us. And thank you for supporting authors and local authors and for all that you do at the library. We love our librarian friends.
Yes,
We do.
love libraries, and thank you for having us.
Yeah, of course.
We
And if
love
there's
libraries.
any time, both of you or Jamie, if you want to stop by, I can always give you a tour, but you're probably busy that day. But if you're ever in Michigan, I'd love to show you around. I will say,
Okay, yeah.
I can show you the dinosaur costume. I've been sending you guys the
Yes.
Great. I'll DM you Emma about all that because I don't know my schedule perfectly
Beautiful.
yet, but
Amazing.
Yeah. All right, y'all have a great day.
Bye.
Yes, and we'll see you in the Discord, Emma.
Yeah.
That was Jamie Pacton and Rebecca Podos, a writing dynamic duo from the Homegrown Magic series. Homeward for a Spell, coming out soon. And Emma hangs out with them on Discord. How cool was that? How cool was that, Emma?
It was really cool. I was really excited when I got accepted to be part of their street team because I've done street team stuff in the past, but this one actually feels like a group of friends. Like I randomly messaged them asking about the Professional Women's Hockey League the other day because I was like, I need someone else to scream about this with, and I feel like this is a group of like-minded people who would also scream about this with me, and I was correct.
Homegrown Magic. And then Homeward for a Spell, coming out soon. 2 members of a motley crew of adventurers must confront monsters, hostile landscapes,
And it will be on our shelves. I will make sure of it.
and more. My goodness. And then we have Homegrown Magic, recommended by Emma. That's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. All right, so we'll link to their websites in the show notes. They're really easy to memorize because it's literally just their names.com. But follow those authors. Keep supporting local authors, independent authors everywhere. Romance, fiction, romantasy,
Read the books.
all of them.
Support the books.
Go to your library, join a book club. Yeah, by the time everyone is hearing this episode, there still might be a chance to sign up for the romance book club here in Ferndale, where we'll be talking about a book that's been made into a show that a lot of people talk about. Heated Rivalry. Are you excited about that, Emma?
So excited. Everybody's so excited about it.
Have you been able to reread those books yet?
I've still only read just Heated Rivalry.
Okay.
I want to read the other
wait
ones.
to-
It's just there's a very long list of books I want to read.
Sure. There's only so much time in the world and so many books.
But I'm so excited about it, and everybody's really excited about it. People wanted to watch an episode at the book club, and I said, I don't think I can be paid to watch that. But
Spicy.
could be.
Everyone at home, thanks for listening. It's a little too quiet. It's the Ferndale Library Podcast, and it's brought to you by the Friends of the Ferndale Library. Go to ferndalefriends.org for information on supporting those wonderful people and this podcast. Rate, review, and subscribe, and go read a good book. We'll be back next week with more. Thanks, Emma.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.